Hello, everyone. I just made some brainstorm on the questions, and what changed most was prana in this 16 months. The capacity or the to be aware of it. Before it was just energy, it was this word which I maybe felt when in asana practice during sun salutation or yeah, some asana practice which increased this energy, but I didn't have this this subtle awareness or sensitivity. So I think that was or that is the one thing which changed most. And it's all about prana since we are working in this training. Um, it's more than just a word, it's more than energy, it's experienced, something which can be experienced. I feel like I'm able to experience myself as a pranic being. Um, And for the question, what is an embodied yoga teacher? I feel like I'm could feel that I'm more than just a body and my thoughts. I'm able to grow with the studies of yoga. I can reflect on myself, on all parts of myself without hiding or fighting against myself or shaming. And if I'm aware of it, about my inner turmoil, habits, impressions, and so on. Um, and a few weeks ago, Elena was asking me about the 300-hour teacher training because she's thinking about it. And she said she was asking me, how does the training change my way of teaching? And I told her honestly that many things which we learn or learned are isn't something that I can directly um, put in my classes or but I think there's this Shakti in my teachings, which just something changed. I can't really say what it is. And I also get this feedback from people who are coming to my classes for years. Something shifted and something changed without without big changes happening um, in the classroom.
Hmm.
So it's more energy, maybe little little shifts, little changes, words, cueing, yeah. Um, what I also realized in these 16 months is that I know now I'm nowhere. So I'm nowhere, and the way is long, and there is a long way to go, and a long way to heal. And I have big motivation to go on this path. Um, yeah. And another word which popped into my mind a lot beside prana is effortlessness, which I think I never thought about this word or this meaning so much before in my life. Um, and yeah, effortlessness in life, in living, in teaching, in being human, in practicing, in everything. Um, And that is really helpful for me, for my personality. um, yeah, I learned a lot and I'm still learning. I think I know myself better than ever before. Um, yeah.
Amazing. I don't want to say too much, but I'm happy.
Me too.
Thank you, Pamela. Yeah, one thing I'll say, that the shift that you're talking about, it's like a deep internal subterranean shift. And it's like what are those plates called? Tectonic plates? Like the plates of the Earth's surface, essentially, or like deep beneath the surface. Like something there has shifted. And that isn't necessarily super noticeable at the surface initially, but it will change everything. And you might notice the ripple effects of that shift for years to come. But it'll be so subtle and so gradual over an extended period of time that you won't even notice the change happening. But somebody who knows you now versus 5 years from now and knows your teaching is going to be like, whoa, without you necessarily needing to consciously go in and change what's happening on the surface. There's been a shift here that is going to impact everything. Would anyone else like to share? Steph.
I would say that my practice has become simpler and also more personal, more devotional, deeper, even though it is simpler. And I've gotten away from really thinking too much about these 40-day sadhanas. Before that, I used to practice, okay, this 40-day sadhana and then on to this, and then, like Rod, and I assume Rod teaches it that way because I learned it that way from Octavio, where you choose one thing to work on, do your 40-day sadhana. If it feels complete, good, you move on to the next thing, work on the next thing, or do another 40 days of what you're working with. And it always felt a little bit like, okay, I'm fixing this problem about myself, and then I'm fixing that problem about myself, and I'm checking this off my list, and then checking that off my list. And it's good to build this discipline and this perseverance, but now that I'm not practicing like that anymore, it's like more spacious. I mean, I still practice a lot, but I'm not beating myself up anymore if I miss a day because life gets in the way. And yeah, it feels simpler. It feels more joyful, more devotional, and yeah.
That also makes me very happy.
Me
Yeah.
too.
You did not need more structure or rigor or harsh discipline in your life. Quite the opposite has been, it looks beautiful on you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. I also will say I have never been given a 40-day sadhana from Rod or Tracy.
Rod doesn't do it that way? Interesting. So it was all Octavio then?
And maybe his teacher before him. And there are plenty of texts that recommend 40 days for a sadhana, but my understanding is specifically meditative, prana, either pranayama or mantra, not asana. The first time
Oh yeah,
go ahead.
I'm talking about complete practices. So it would usually be asana, pranayama, and meditation, and working with a specific kriya for 40 days, or depending on the kriya, sometimes longer than that.
Yeah. The second time I sat down with Rod to kind of just talk about practice, he asked me what I was doing for my practice. And I told him what my meditation and basic structure for my mantra practice was. And he said, how about asana? And I said, well, just kind of do whatever I feel like I need to do that day in order to be prepared for my meditation. He's like, perfect. It's exactly what you should be doing. So I found that interesting. And with Tracy, never did she suggest that we do a 40-day sadhana. Her suggestion was always find a way to show up daily. Find a way to engage with your practice every day, whatever that looks like. Just make it sustainable and an act of love. She did definitely encourage consistency, continuity, trying not to have too many interruptions, but when you do, you don't add insult to injury by shaming yourself or guilting yourself or beating yourself up over it. You just say, okay, well, missed a day, back to it. And it was, yeah, never. The first time I heard people really talking about these like very strict structured 40-day sadhanas was when I was in Bali. And I was like, what are they talking about? Because it was all Octavio's students. So, and I know he's not the only one, but in terms of coming from having studied with Rod a lot, having studied with Tracy a lot, and then with Panditji, obviously the Himalayan Institute encourages a Purushcharana, but that's how I know it, not as a 40-day sadhana, but as a Purushcharana, which may or may not be 40 days. It might be 11 days. It might be 28 days. It's whatever is called for. And then you do that to the best of your ability with as much love and devotion as possible. Yeah. Thanks, Steph. Anybody else? Good, Kara, because I know we're going to lose you soon so you can go to bed. So I'm glad we get to hear your voice.
Yeah, I'm a little bit tired, so my thoughts might not come out very clearly, but yeah, I actually just I was getting a bit emotional listening to Pamela speak because I feel like I'm just relating to a lot of the things you were saying towards the end and just kind of reflecting on how transformational of a time that it's been and like just thinking about where I was when we started in October of 2024 or whatever it was. Yeah, and I had just finished, like I just left Australia and I had just kind of finished teaching for, I didn't know how long it was going to be. And I felt at that point like I'd really lost like complete connection to my practice. Like teaching just became really stressful and yeah, I was finding like really hard to just even do my own practice and enjoy it. And yeah, just complete 180 twist of like, I'm not even teaching anymore. And I'm like, obviously would love to teach, but it's not like my main goal. I'm just really enjoying just being a student and just learning. And I feel like so okay with like never teaching again, even though I'm sure that I probably will, but just to be able to like keep learning and growing. And yeah, I just feel like my practice is completely shifted to where I was when we started, where I was kind of like, oh, what's the point if I'm not teaching? Like that's what I'm supposed to do. That's why I'm, studying, and yeah, it's just totally 180. Um, and yeah, just the way that it's kind of like impacted my whole perspective on life and just who I am as a person now. And there's been so many things that Natalie said and everyone in the course has said, and they've just really stuck with me. And one of them is like, um, well, something I'm trying to, it obviously doesn't happen every time. I'm trying to just remind myself as I'm moving through challenges now is just like this sense of being like untethered. Um, so I feel like that's been like a really big takeaway for me of before it was like life just really felt like it was coming at me and I couldn't, I had no control over anything. And yeah, that's just one of the principles that I've really been trying to live by, and just to like move a little bit more gracefully through my life and with myself and with others. Um, and I guess that's kind of like what being embodied is to me at this point. It's just like trying to live as gracefully as I can. And even when I'm not, just being gentle with myself and using it all as growth and learning. And yeah, been big, big changes and transformation. And yeah, I'm really sad for this to be coming to an end, even though I might be just auditing and redoing it all over again. But yeah, it's been amazing.
Beautiful, Kara. I reflect back on when we first met, and you're like your own older, wiser sister to the version of you that you were when we met. Like wiser, more grounded, just this calm grace about you that's so lovely to be able to witness and to be in the presence of. Yeah, different sense of confidence and just and knowing that is coming out of you now. And only you can do that. Good job. Beautiful. Thank you. Dion and then Claire.
Yes, embodiment for me, I resonate a lot with Pamela words and Stephanie too. And I think everybody got it too. Sorry, a baby. É. Ah, bem. Sorry. But I think for me, these 16 months, it was most like me remembering, because I think we are in the path of remembrance, and the repetition, not the repetition, but it felt like coming from the concepts to the practice and bringing it to my body and my mind in a tangible form. As if I was having aha moments, like the teachings landing on me, like okay, and also okay, I learned from the the course itself, but I also learned by everyone experience and everyone shares. I think I learned a lot from the shares and the conversations around everything we were learning. And the Sundays practices, I by watching them or practicing them, I could also learn that there, because those images of Instagram and I don't know, videos on YouTube, because I don't have like besides my personal practice and some classes that I have attended, I don't have like a place or a studio or a Sangha where I go and practice. So having that container and seeing like the yoga in practice and seeing like those concepts of the bhavana, the intention of the class, how you feel in the body. Yeah, I think those were like the real embodiment for me, like my body feeling it, and my mind also like saying, okay, this is what this concept means in practice, and this is how you can eventually teach. Or you don't have to be afraid to incorporate this, because you are very good. I don't know other way to explain, but you're very good at making your sequences, and they're not like, I don't know, the typical sequences that I see in other places. Um, and I also like your YouTube channel. I think you have noticed. Sometimes I go there and I practice from your YouTube channel. Um, so practicing really is what changed, and hearing from everybody experience. And I think I learned a lot of language, not only vocal language, but movement language. Yeah.
Beautiful, Dion. Well, Dion. Thank you for that. I'm so glad that the practices landed with you and that you were able to utilize them. You know, sometimes on Sundays I would wonder, is anybody out there? So it's very nice to know you are out there and receiving them and that they benefited you. And I also very much appreciate the reminder that we're on a journey of remembrance. We're on a path of remembrance. And that idea of being reintroduced to universal concepts of wisdom and truth and love and compassion, and having the recognition of it, also the recognition of concepts that maybe you have had an opportunity to explore theoretically, and then being able to experience them more directly for yourself. That's awesome. Thank you for that. And kiss that little boy that's poking his face in there too. Claire, go ahead. Well, let's just take a quick moment to appreciate the cuteness. We love you. We love you. And then there's also a lot of cuteness on Steph's screen right now. There's a bit of an overload happening at the moment. I don't know what to do with myself. All right. Claire, I'd love to hear from you.
You'll have to excuse me if Oscar starts because he's on one. He is on one. He's jumping on my head. Now he's got my socks. He's a sock thief. So yeah. Um, just a couple of things that I wrote down. It's more, not that I find it difficult to articulate, but the 200 hour that I did with yourself and Chrissy was like just a scratch of the surface of the tradition. Whereas this, I feel like I have this whole training, I've cultivated a deeper understanding with energy, prana, what Pamela touched on, and sequencing, pose categories, a deeper understanding of the why, the what, and the how, particular meditations that you would use. And I think just a deep rooted understanding of myself and how to move forward through challenges because there's been quite a lot over the past couple of months that have been bubbling up. And I think that having this tradition and this community to lean on has felt safe. And I just feel overall I've got a better understanding of myself and ways to move forward with ease and not getting trapped in here as much. Whereas before, even after, training with Octavio and doing the 200 hour with yourself, I still did feel that I was repeating old patterns and things kept coming up. But it's just for me to take a deeper look at. And I was saying to my friend the other day, I feel peaceful. Not to say that there's going to be challenges in life, but I feel like I'm equipped to be able to handle things perhaps better than what I have done previously. And also, not beating myself up when I can't do a full practice each day. Like I said this to you, it's not always going to be a full an hour and a half. It's not going to work out that way. So I think I've been kind to myself and understanding that I can do what I can do in the moment. And students in my class have said that they felt a shift within the way I'm practicing because I've just really made things more simple in what I'm offering. Sometimes I'm in a class, I'm using maybe 6 postures, whereas before it was trying to cram everything in and it didn't really make sense as to why I was doing that. But again, like Pamela was saying, there's still so much to learn. I mean, I go back through the modules and I think, what the fuck? There's so much information, which I'm grateful for. And I think it's just about revisiting and not that I'll ever forget about it. I don't mean it in that way, but there's just so much, isn't there? And doing this 40-day sadhana with you all for the Sri Sukta, it's just I was thinking this morning, what are we on day 6? And I was like, wow, not that it feels a lot, but even this morning, there was no part of it that wanted to get out of bed. But I thought, no, come on. And I think it's that devotion to myself and my practice that's going to get me to where I would like to be in my life. I don't want to be in that hamster wheel, which I have been in, which I still can sometimes be in, depending on what's going on. But it feels a more space, more spaciousness.
Your devotion to yourself and to your practice is going to get you where you want to be in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so beautifully said. It's so simple, but God, it's hard sometimes. Yeah. Well done.
I just can't believe it's coming to this is not that it's ever the end, but it's gone so fast. I
Yeah.
feel like it's gone so super quick.
Yeah.
But I want to just try and carve out the time for myself to show up because I know that, it makes a difference with how I feel overall, mentally, physically. But it's just a more of an internal energy, the Shakti that we're building, that we're working with each day in whatever way that is. It's creating habits that are going to best serve the life that I want rather than going backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful, Claire. Thank you.
Thank you.
Danilo, did you want to say anything? I see you. That usually means you've got something percolating.
No, yeah, I'm speak really brief. So one overall concept is just less is more. So I think like before taking this is always trying to put more postures or trying to come up with the perfect sequence or creative wise or something that's going to create more impact for other people. And just knowing that you can have an impact by just doing very basic thing, like very basic breathing exercises and get really connected to your prana and to your divine. So that's one thing. And in terms of the embodied part is like there's life and there's yoga, or like we consider yoga like asana, but there's really no line in between. So being able to bring in some of the breathing exercises or the contemplation of who we are, what's important to us, and bringing that into everyday life, I think we've been going over that in the last 16 months, where it doesn't stop just once we get off the mat. So there's a connection between how I live my life and my yoga practice and my meditation practice. And then finally, it's just the freedom, like basically that I call it the imposter syndrome. Like when you're trying to fill your life with so much, and a lot of it is just garbage. It doesn't really enhance your life. You're like, yeah, I have a lot of stuff in my house, but it doesn't really make my life any better. That you start realizing that by pruning or trimming, like if you had like I used to raise rose bushes, so I used to trim those, and then by trimming things away, you actually see the true beauty of the flowers come out. But if you don't do the trimming, you don't get rid of the clutter, you don't deal with that, whether it be in practice, like you can have a practice with thousands of exercises that people are not going to get that much out of it. Instead of just focusing on the five peak postures or postures that you really want to focus on, that you really get much more in life, or focusing on the three key relationships in your life as opposed to, being, socially friends with 30,000 people. It's just not as impactful as having a great relationship with the two people closest to you. So I think that's kind of like the three areas of that I've gotten out of this 16-month journey.
Beautiful. You are a man of so many delightful surprises. I didn't know that you took care of roses. And there's so much I want to talk about.